It might be week one of the NFL, but we are here talking baseball on the Rotowire Fantasy Baseball podcast, helping you with these last 3 weeks of the baseball season, all coming up next. Happy Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to the Rotowire Fantasy Baseball podcast. I'm Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. If you could please rate and review the podcast. I know I say that a lot, but it does help us out a lot, help people find the podcast, et cetera. If you enjoyed listening to us all year, hopefully you have. Hope we helped you out a little bit. If you could leave a good rating and some nice stars, that would be very much appreciated. Jeff, I said last week that this was the hardest FAAB period of the year, week one of the NFL season, and it's not disappointing. I think it was the hardest one for me of the whole season.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For many reasons. One, attention span, two, just, okay, who the heck can I bid on this week?
Yeah.
But yet I know I need to, reinforcements. Guys get hurt. Guys are getting benched or you need to have reinforcements. We have closer changes. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on. It's really tough to keep your eye on the ball right now, and it's just so important if you're actually in a real race. You and I are together in Yahoo Friends and Family, and I swear that changes every 3 innings. The Rotowire Staff Keeper League is the same thing too. Yeah. There's a 5-way race there in the Staff Keeper League where it changes. It's basically depending on who's pitching at the given moment. Yeah,
for Yahoo Friends and Family, I can be in 4th place and look up and I'm in 1st place, or then back to 4th. It's wild how much it moves around. But when you get categories that are close, 1 3-run homer actually affects stuff. It's one good outing, one bad outing, which is what happens.
Yes,
what you really notice when standings move. It's like you get the 6 runs in an inning and 2/3. You don't even want to look at standings the next day, or the live standings. It's just it's really rough. But yeah, I think you said it well. Not only is there attention span going, like I had people at my house to watch the Niners game this morning, and that just suddenly takes you to 2:00 and people are hanging out and like, oh, let's watch the Chargers. Like, it's just like, there's a lot going on. And you're right. It's not that I can run to my office and make moves in 10 minutes because there's a lot of these stuff that I got to figure out who's playing. Like you said, who's hurt. Jason Dominguez is, out for the year as of today. So I had to adjust to that. I had some other guys on the IL. So you got to replace guys because you just need production. These 3 weeks count as much as the other 3 weeks. I know they're tough and you want to just be like, I'll just throw whoever out there, but man, you got to stay with it. And it's tough, but we got there.
Yeah. And it's a daily moves league that we have together there in that league. And who has 2 thumbs that left Ryan Pepio on their bench for a start against the Marlins this week? There, he took a perfect game into the 6th inning. This guy. That I wouldn't need that right now.
I'm glad there's no tool on the site where you can go back and see how many stats I've left on the bench because daily moves and me do not mesh
tough.
Very well.
Yeah, it's tough. And yeah, I got him. I had the wherewithal to pick him up in the first place. And I was traveling this past week. I have a new appreciation for you and anybody else that has traveled for a living. I gotta say, I mean, it sucks. So I went straight from the NFFC to my family in Kansas, had a family issue. You saw me potting from the hotel.
I did. Yeah.
And then you're trying to just deal with like being on top of stuff. Right.
Yep.
And it's really difficult there. And I anybody that travels for a living, my hat's off to you, man. It's tough.
Yeah. And dealing with airports and planes and people in airports, it's not especially glamorous.
Hotels where it's just the little things like, oh shit, I don't have my nail clippers. Oh, I don't, I want to get a snack. Okay, that's $7. It's like little things like that. Like you start doing things where like I need to eat, but I really don't want to go out. Okay,
did you know the big Fiji waters in the Vidara are $24.75 each?
Accidentally found that out a year ago. And because they used to give them for free.
Yes.
And they didn't put a note on that. And we got it, refunded back to us. But yeah, we learned that the hard way.
$24.75.
Yeah. I mean, it's usury. I mean,
I'm okay with a markup. You're in a hotel, like they've got you. You got
$5, $6. Sure.
I'd even go like $10 and be like, that sucks, but whatever. But $25 is fairly insane.
It's ludicrous. Yeah. Just ludicrous. And this is a place I like.
I love it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't think they're alone in charging up for the waters.
Well, they're MGM. They're all owned by MGM, and they used to get free parking. You used to get this. You used to get that. You don't get that anymore. And and now we're going pretty far afield, but it's okay.
But yeah, I was in Vegas for the NFC this weekend, so yeah, I was traveling a little bit too, but all for fun in that regard. So right. It was a good time. quick little one night trip with the wife. So it was a good time, but it just there's a lot going on. A lot going on right now. My child's back in school. There's just a lot of things going on.
To be clear, I have a great life. Don't complain.
Yes.
I'm not complaining about my life, but it was a tough week. It was a very tough week.
I could have had such a good line there about the Bengals, but I'm going to go ahead and just not say it anyway.
Yeah, it happens. So
as a team who lost to the Bears in week 1 last year and went to the NFC Championship game, I can tell you that week 1 is
5 turnovers to the Steelers at home last year and still made it to the AFC Championship game. I'm not apoplectic. They just signed my guy. I wish they would have signed Higgins, but it happens. I knew it was a unanimous pick from the Browns and staff picks this week, so self included. So I had a feeling. Just didn't think it would be this bad.
So let's jump into baseball. The races and pennant races are still really fun. The AL West is wild. Houston, we kind of talked last week about Texas and Seattle. Here they come, and Texas is struggling a little bit. Houston, suddenly you look up, and Houston's 2.5 up on Seattle, 3 up on the Rangers. I'm afraid that the hopes and dreams of someone else winning the West are going to be washed away here pretty quickly. I'm afraid. You just went on mute.
So what I was trying to say is their playoff odds went to 99.1% now.
Yeah. That's a lot right there. And the Rangers down to 50% after leading the division pretty much all year long. They're right on the fence to making the playoffs at all right now.
Yeah. It's really remarkable to see how much they've fallen apart. They still have the second best run differential in the American League. And they can still miss the playoffs. They're faltering. They're sniping at each other. Max Scherzer saying things. It's showing leadership. Oh, everybody's just got to be better. Okay, thanks, Max. You've been here for 12 days.
We talked last Sunday about, it's fun that the Astros and Rangers play each other. The Astros kicked the crap out of them that series. That was an ugly series.
Yep. Astros, they went – this week was the first week they had solo possession of first place in the American League West.
That's pretty crazy when you think about it.
And they're still the best team in the American League, in my opinion. They're better than the Orioles even.
Yeah, Orioles are 90 and 52. Every time I look up, I'm like, oh, it's the Braves and Dodgers. I realize the Orioles have 3 more wins than the Dodgers do right now. Yep. They've won. They lost today, but they were on a winning streak. They've won 7 of the last 10. I'm fascinated to see what the Orioles are going to look like in the playoffs. I don't think we're going to get Felix Bautista. I can't imagine he's back by then. But this is a fun young team that I don't know how their pitching is going to look in the playoffs. You look up and you're like, who starts game 1? Who starts game 2? And I don't really know, but they're really fun. I will be pulling for them in most series, I'm imagining.
Oh, for sure. Me too. Yeah. And, I don't want to diminish their accomplishments.
It's been a great year.
Yeah, it has been a great year. And they're winning what really is the toughest division in baseball. So, yeah, maybe I'm I'm not giving them due credit. They have the best record in the American League. And this despite spending nothing in the offseason and adding Jack Flaherty at the trade deadline, who has been just
Yeah, and last start was even worse than that. But you're right. The young guys have come on. It's been fun. It looks like essentially it's three teams for 2 spots. If you say the Astros are going to win the division, I'm just going to go do that for the sake of this. But you've got Seattle, Texas, and Toronto. 2 of those 3 teams are going to win the wild card. And Toronto is making their stake right now. They're balling right now. They won 3 in a row, 8 of the last 10. Talking about the team that I think they're the team that's gone up the most in playoff odds these last 10 days or so.
For sure. There was a lot of hand wringing going on in the Tuesday podcast with Fred and I. And at least on the Fred side, things are better.
Yeah, that's right. Fred is a Canadian, a Blue Jays fan, but it's been fun. It's fun that we still have a lot of stuff to watch and root for. The National League wild card is still wide open. Our Reds are kind of hanging in there still, a game and a half out. The Giants made a little bit of a run this week. They won the last 3 games, swept this series against the Rockies, which you got to beat the bad teams.
When the Rockies come to town, man.
Got to beat the bad teams. Marlins have won 8 of 10. They're a half game out. The Diamondbacks. It's wild. One of these teams is going to make it. The Cubs are only 2 up on Arizona right now. Sneakily, the Cubs are not locked in yet.
They have a problem with close games. I feel like David Ross is part of, and Cubs fans will back me up on this, that David Ross is an issue. That he's just not good with decision-making in close games.
Yeah, that's not a great thing because they're plus 98 win differential. They're clearly way better in that stat than anybody below them. We talked about San Diego's the good spot in there, but they're obviously done now. They're 8 games out of the 3rd spot, but they're the best team right there. But man, I tell you what, 3 weeks and 2 games up is not something you feel good about. They gotta win some games here the last 3 weeks if they're gonna make it still.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's jump into the fantasy world. Obviously, we got 3 weeks left in the season. This is week 25, I think, is what I labeled it. Huge week, Jeff. 18 teams have 7 games a week. This is a massive week. This is probably the last like full stat week we're gonna look at. The last week we know what happens. A lot of guys who sit. There's a lot of pitchers who pitch 3 innings, they take them out. But this is a big week. This is full go. Everybody's still playing their guys. 18 teams have 7 games. I think this is moving week right here. If you're going to make a run at your league, if you're a few points behind, I think this is the week you got to make that move.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's all these tight wild card races. It's going to be massive, absolutely massive, and it's massive for our fantasy leagues too.
Yeah.
These fun close races in our leagues. I talked about friends and family, the Rotowire Staff Keeper League. Man, it's so fun when you've got like this like 5-team race where anybody could win, and it just swings on a daily basis, on a start by start basis, like you said. It's a blast.
Yeah, our friend of the podcast, Brian Slack, is still leading the main event. He's making a run there.
Awesome.
Rooting hard for him. He filled in for you a couple times when you were out of town this season, so I appreciate him for that. I like a lot of people who are on the leaderboard. Clark Olson I saw in Vegas weekend. John Posma I saw in Vegas weekend, but I think everybody knows I'm rooting for Brian. I'd love to see him bring this one home.
I saw him in Vegas, by the way, after
he was. That's right. He was there the weekend you were there.
He did prime time in the slot after I did today on Saturday last week.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I know he was there with his brother-in-law. They were drafted a team, so that's pretty awesome. But week 25, a lot of games. Looking at the Rockies are home all week. They have 3 against the Cubs, 4 against the Giants. That's a huge week for those other teams. And if you could slide some Rockies hitters in this week, Detroit and Arizona get 4 lefties this week. If you play platoons and stuff, that's really important info there. Someone like Alec Thomas, that's a bad schedule for him getting 4 lefties. Same with like Zach McKinstry. I looked at Alec Thomas, picking him up in some leagues. I'm like, 4 lefties. Can't do it this week, so I did not add him. The Mets, the White Sox, and the Twins get 7 righties. Good week for anybody that's like a DJ Stewart on New York, Max Kepler in Minnesota, Alex Kirilloff, those kind of guys. This time of the year, there's a lot of teams are platooning with the extra roster spots, and knowing that the handedness of the pitchers is really important there.
Yeah, exactly. It's knowing this is so important there, and it's so many good setups there. So many got to get on that.
Yeah, it's tough. You got a lot of people bidding in leagues. There's just not a lot of guys there. But I looked at looking at good offensive schedules this week. The Yankees have 7 home games this week, 4 against Arizona, 3 against the Reds. The Yankees are at the point where they don't really have a lot of guys left, so the guys that are playing are playing. I mean, we mentioned Jason Dominguez, the torn UCL. Really disappointing. It's a big injury. I know everybody's like, he might be back close to the start of the year, but a guy like that making his first time in the majors, this offseason is really important for someone like that. To try and work on stuff, work with the team. Losing a full offseason is a big deal for someone like that. Oh, I think Jeff just went silent again. Other good schedules here in the baseball world. The Giants are home 3 against Cleveland, then 4 against Colorado. So that is a really good schedule there. The Astros are really nice too. They only have 6 games this week, but they do get Oakland. They do get Kansas City. Tough to really beat that. If you want to face some bad pitching, Oakland and Kansas City lines up really well. Not a lot of Astros that are available on waiver wires, but still a team that you want to get as many pieces of if you can with that those 6 games.
Yeah, of course. It is. Yeah, that's always been the rub too. It's like, whenever the Astros or the Dodgers have a good week, there's just nothing to act on.
There really isn't. Who's kind of sneaky this week, though, is the Pirates. The Pirates are 4 against the Nationals, 3 against the Yankees. I think they do Cole pitch today, so they will get Cole later in the week. But that's a really good setup, and Pirates are teams you can add. I tried to add some Jack Sawinski this week. I actually got outbid in one of my main events. But, I think the Pirates are a team that could score some runs this week, and those are actually some guys you might get available. G1 Bay, Connor Joe, some guys like that. You might get some stats from the team that has 7 home games this week.
Yeah. It's funny. I have G1 Bay in a league and friends and family. And he was like that one guy that is like, okay, do I start? He's always like, him versus like Alex Verdugo is my starting decision when I've got somebody, do I want the average? Do I want the possibility of a stolen base?
I made a mistake this week. I had Tim Anderson, our friend, and Bryce Turang, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start Anderson, and Turang had 3 steals this week. So I just I don't know why I still have Tim Anderson, Jeff.
I know. I have him in a couple places too, and I'm like,
I don't even really like. I consider dropping him, but not really. I guess I have other easier drops, but man, that guy's been a killer. I know we've talked about it a lot. Milwaukee has a really good setup this week, too. They are 4 home against Miami, 3 home against Washington. Milwaukee's a team you get some players, too. You get a Tyrone Taylor. I mentioned Bryce Turang. There are some guys you could pick up there. Christian Yelich out the last 2 days with some back soreness. Normally, I wouldn't care about that. They said it's kind of precautionary, but you get Yelich at his back, and I start to worry anytime that happens, especially a team that's pretty much locked into where they are, in the division, and they have no reason to push Yelich because they have any chance in the playoffs. They need him healthy.
Oh, for sure, man. It's you can't overstate like how good Milwaukee's been since the All-Star break. They really just pulled away, and they did this against the Reds a couple years ago too, and it was the same sort of thing. Like they had a wraparound series before and after the All-Star game, and they just crushed the Reds and then just walked away from the rest of the division.
And when I say pretty much locked in, I mean the playoffs. Obviously, the Cubs are only 3 back, so they could be a division race. But I mean, there's like whatever that is, 7 games ahead of the third wild card, 6 games. So they're 98.5% to make the playoffs. If Christian Yelich needs a break, they're definitely going to give it to him. I'm a little worried. I really want to see him in the lineup coming up. I think they play. They do play tomorrow. Sure. They play against the Marlins, but that's one. Him and his back history is just the thing that worries me. Backs tend to linger, especially someone who's had one in the past. I'm a little worried there because it's been a really fun season for Yelich, and I'm not sure how these last 3 weeks are going to look.
Right. I don't have any Yelich is the funny thing. I'm sick and tired of seeing him destroy my Reds, but luckily I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, they went their last series of the Reds like in June or something crazy like that.
They're done. Yeah. They're super done with the Reds. And they destroyed us too the whole time.
Benson in the chat says the AL seems wide open. Why not the Twins, Jeff?
Say that again.
He said the AL seems wide open. I agree with that. He said, why not the Twins to win it?
Yeah. Why not?
74 plus 74 in the run differential. They're 7.5. They have the third biggest lead of any team. I mean, they're 90. They're easily a lock to make the playoffs.
They won't have to worry about playing the Yankees anymore.
That's true. They have not. That's actually a really good point. They are so in their head about playing the Yankees. I don't know. You get the Twins in a series though. Like they got good pitching. They probably that's a team that lines up really well with starting pitching for a playoff series.
Yeah.
Pablo Lopez was awesome today.
Yeah, their offense. I mean, their offense is shaky, but I mean the Twins pitching. I mean they don't even have room for Bailey Ober right now.
No,
I don't understand that at all.
I don't know. Well, Dallas Keuchel is in the rotation, so
I mean, and that's the thing is I was going back and forth with a friend of mine. Is like, yeah, why isn't Ober back up when they expanded rosters?
I guess he's just struggled, and they want him to get regular starts if they're going to bring him back up and slide him back in for Keuchel. But I mean, you're looking, but Ober still ERA was under 3.7. I know he had been struggling a little bit, but yeah, it's a bit of a weird one there. I don't know. I don't get the Dallas Keuchel thing fully. I'm looking.
I don't either. I know like they had to call him up for some contractual clause, or otherwise they're going to lose him. But just lose him.
But you go in a playoff series. You go Pablo Lopez, Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan. Like, I don't know.
Do you trust Sonny Gray in a playoff game?
Absolutely.
I love Sonny Gray, but
I trust Sonny Gray more in a playoff game than a non-playoff game.
Yeah, I don't really trust everybody else. I mean, I don't trust their bullpen. I don't know. There's something about the Twins. I mean, they've blown so many games for Sonny Gray.
And that's the thing. Like, it's just the Twins and playoff history. Like, it's hard to imagine them doing well because they've just blown it every single time and every single year. But you're right. There's no Yankees, but you got Royce Lewis in the middle of that lineup is really, really good. They're a fun team, and I do think they line up pitching wise well against almost anybody. I think we lost Jeff again.
Sorry, I had a little tech hiccup there. Bear with me for a second.
No worries at all. While you fix that, I'm going to tell you about our partnership with AG1, the daily foundational nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. I drink AG1 every morning. I gave it a try because I wanted better gut health, a boost in energy, immune system support. Also, I absolutely hate taking pills. That is very, very true. I do hate taking pills and wanted a supplement that actually tastes really good, and AG1 is exactly that. I drink AG1 in the morning before starting a long day, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day, and it feels like I'm doing something good for the body. Since I've been drinking AG1, I've noticed an overall feeling of health, plus sustained energy, improved digestion, and most importantly, support for mental clarity and focus, which I very much always need. Covering my nutritional basis for the day couldn't be easier, which is why I trust AG1. I just mix one small scoop with water and drink it first thing every morning, and I'm all done. It has 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food source ingredients. I also like that it costs less than $3 a day. That's pretty darn good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with high sourced ingredients, really a win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/roto. That's drinkag1.com/roto. Check it out. So, Jeff, free agency this week. We talked about how it was tough with a lot of things going on, but you got to make moves. I think the top guy on the board, we'll start with hitters, was probably Jordan Lawler, called up to the majors, playing shortstop every day. One of those guys that, if he lands right away and does well, has a really impressive skill set. You can maybe get some stolen bases out of this. Looks like he's starting every day for the Diamondbacks. He was 20 home runs, 36 stolen bases across AA and AAA. A high-level prospect that's playing every day. I think he's pretty easily my top guy on the board this week.
Off to a rough start, but yeah, we got 2 weeks left, basically 2 FAAB periods left of note. Yeah, go crazy if you want to. He's definitely a top guy if you have a spot to play him. I mean, that's the thing this year is, how many shortstops we've had called up this year?
It's funny you say that because I have a team, my best main event team. I couldn't even bid on Lawler because there's no way I could play him. I have Mookie. I'm playing Mookie Betts in the outfield. He's second and short eligible, and I'm playing in the outfield. It's wild how some teams work out that way. I've had a lot of middles all year.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat in a couple of leagues, and it's just like, I trying to find ways. Okay, can I put him at third? No. I'll put friends and family. I've been doing with that actually. I have Royce Lewis. I have Ellie De La Cruz. I have Semien. I have a couple other guys that are good. And it's like, yes, we have 2 utilities, and I'm still struggling to find spaces for them all to fit.
Whereas you look at outfield now, you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could find an outfielder. But
right,
yeah, Lawler's is a guy that, like, if he were to get hot, could steal some bases, and then 4 or 5 bases down the stretch in the last 3 weeks is obviously huge for standings. He's fun, he's intriguing. If he got called up in June, he would have been a massive bid, but nobody has money left anymore. But he looked like the top guy in most of my leagues. I'm looking at here, but it wasn't, nobody he went for $2 in one of my leagues. It's just nobody has money anymore. Right. And like you said, there's probably not a lot of people that need middles. But I just think he's a guy that could make a difference down the stretch. It's hard to find at this point.
Yeah. And who cares if hehe's struggling now? You just take a chance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a spot that's remotely dead in your roster, and most people do, you just roll with it there. It's just, like we said, it's just trying to find, even with losing the great Matt McLean, who's a great human being and all.
That was a sad day.
Brutal.
Dropping him last week was just a sad day.
Yeah, because he's been so good to us.
Yeah,
you feel like you're letting him down a little bit there.
I almost want to just hold him just out of respect for all.
He deserves a ring if you win.
Exactly.
How are you doing in your mains? Are you winning one of your leagues?
No, I'm in second in one of my leagues. I'm like around. I go from like 95 to 105 overall, right in there. So a good team, but a really good team in 9 out of 10 categories. Like really, really strong. Like could tend high up there if it did, but has like 70 stolen bases.
Yeah, I find that stolen bases is something that I'm generally weak at. In fact, I alluded to the Rotowire Staff Keeper League. I've got an 18-team league. I've got 1 point in stolen bases, and I'm tied for first in the league. So
if you just had like 5 points there, you'd be set.
Yeah, and I actually at one point tried to trade for it. I traded for Starling Marte. Yeah, oops, that went well. I don't think he even played a day for me. It's just it's insane how bad that's been. I finally just embraced the punt.
It is definitely something I'm going to look at in the offseason. Why I was so bad. I'm bad in stolen bases in 2 of my 3 leagues. I don't know if one of my problems was I drafted Jake McCarthy in that league with the thought that there's my stolen base. And then I dropped him and he came back up and stole 20 and then he wasn't very good and he went back down. So it wouldn't have made that much of a difference. But I relied on him way too much. I didn't even like him and I just relied on him too much because I'm like, oh, well, at least he's a stolen base guy. And it was bad.
We thought he was stolen base plus. That's the thing, too.
Yeah.
We didn't think he was Delano DeShields Jr. or Billy Hamilton or one of those, which you and I both try to avoid those guys. We've all had our experiences with that.
Yep.
I do. Fred and I were talking this on the Tuesday pod. When doing my rankings, my projections, I use SGPs, and the stolen base helps one category.
Yep.
It 1 1/3. It maybe boosts run score, but not by as much as you would think it would. It doesn't help RBI, stolen. It doesn't help average, and it doesn't help power at all. Literally nothing it gives you there. Whereas a home run is a four category event. So if you're doing a system like that, stolen base only guys are naturally going to fall lower. And just the value of the stolen base is low. They need to do something else along with that there.
Do you think that? Do you think people are going to want the number 1 pick in drafts next year?
Yeah, that's worked out pretty well this year. I got to say,
pretty much solves it, right? If you took Acuna, you never had to think about it. Like you get 3 or 4 or 5, 8, 10 from a bunch of different guys. You never even thought about the category. The interesting guy is SD Ruiz in Oakland because he steals every time he gets on base, but he never gets on base. It's just a while, and he's hitting 9th now. There was a while there he was hot, and it was like, well, this is like a great pick. And now, he's got 55 stolen bases or something. So I mean, if you took him, it has been a huge score. And he went flying. He went like 7th, 8th round in some main events by the very end. But then you look at his lines, he's got 58 stolen bases, but he's hitting 254, 43 runs, 42 RBIs, and 4 home runs. Like, just
it's the 40s and the runs scored. I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Billy Hamilton always was that way. You're like, oh, he should have if he's got 70 stolen bases, he should have 100 runs. No, he doesn't. He has 60. And, that's less than a real hitter. And that's just the point.
And Ruiz is not a good hitter. He's like his hard hit rate's under 20%, which is really hard to
be out of the league next year.
It wouldn't be surprising. Yeah,
he's Malik Smith. Yeah. I'm not going to have him next year. I can tell you that.
But there was that one year where we talked about Malik Smith and you drafted him, you were set. But then the next year, you used a 7th round pick for.
But we didn't talk about him as a draft. He was a pickup that year.
Yeah,
and then you didn't spend draft capital on him. It's always the year after. And when you have to spend a top 10 pick on a guy like that, I mean, he better lead the league in stolen bases because otherwise he is going to kill you.
Malik's had the one year he's a draft pick he worked, and the next year he had played 14 games.
Yeah.
He went 40, 46, 2 in the steal department in 3 years. Ruiz could steal 58 next year. He could, like you said, he could be out of baseball, and neither one's crazy. He's not a good hitter. He's a pretty good center fielder, which I guess helps him out, but I have no idea what the guys are going to do. And they've realized this last month and a half he can't hit. They moved it down to 9th, and he still runs every time he gets on. He's impossible to catch, but I have there's no way I'll draft him next year. And I don't know, maybe I'll be bad in stolen bases again, but I got to figure that category out for sure.
You do, but I think this is, I think if you get middle of the pack in stolen bases,
that's all I want.
Yeah. I don't think, typically we always think about, okay, we need to get 3rd place in every category to compete for the overall.
Right.
I think that's mistaken. I think the opportunity cost of being that competitive in stolen bases, unless you have Acuna or unless you have, I'm sure, and
Corbin Carroll, someone like that. There's some guys, but it's a good point. It might be try to be 85 percentile in each category and 60 percentile in steals, and it kind of evens itself out with the thought that all those other categories, deal with.
You're going to win one of those categories. You're going to be 95th percentile
for sure, and all those categories correlate with each other, whereas the other one doesn't. It's something I'm definitely going to look at in the offseason because stolen bases have been tough. Other bats in FAAB this week. Nelson Velasquez is still only 66% in the main event, hitting a lot of home runs, playing a lot for Kansas City. If you need home runs, this is the guy to go get right here because he's hitting a bunch of them.
Yeah, he is. And who knew Kansas City is a place to go for that? Right. It's, but that's the whole point of being eye on the ball in September, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get to, there's enough people checked out right now that you're going to get to February and people aren't going to know what Nelson Velasquez has done.
Yeah. He's got
self-included maybe in some cases.
23 games.
Obviously him, I won't be now, but
23 games in the second half, 9 home runs, 17 RBIs. That is a absolute huge contributor if you've ever able to grab him. He's still 66%. I know people don't really believe, but the playing time's there. He's playing almost every day for Kansas City. I know he sat today, but he just kind of a day off kind of thing. But 66% in the main event. I'm sure that went up today. I'm sure it went up to nearly 100. But in terms of power bats, I had him available in one of my 3, so he was a bid for me. A couple of guys who are 74%. I don't like to go above that close in main event rostership just because it gets to be everybody has them. But in 12 teamers, a lot of these guys are available. Alex Kirilloff and Ryan Noda are playing a bunch now. Both lefties hit against all righties. Kirilov's a guy that we've both liked for years, but just can never get healthy. But both 26% available in the main event. Both when they play, they hit in the top third of the lineup, which is really key. Yep. Kirilloff, I think, hit second today. Noda hit second and third a bunch. Both guys that if you need some pop, I think both those guys really work out well if they're available in your league.
Yeah. Kirilloff is like a saga. It's always like, he's on, he's off, he's on, he's off. You know, he's hurt, he's healthy, he's hurt, he's healthy. He feels like he's 28 years old, but he's not.
Yeah, it's too bad because his swing is sweet. He's fun to watch. I don't know if he'll ever fully get there, but it's fun. Yeah, so it's we will. Someone asked me in the chat about starting pitching. Like I said, we will get there in a second. Did you do anything with home Rockies this week, Jeff? I was interested in a couple of guys. We talked about Hunter Goodman last week. Another guy that just playing for cores and some home runs. He had a lot of home runs in the minors. Eluis Montero was available in a lot of leagues. He's a first and third base eligible guy.
There's always a Rocky available, dude.
There's always a Rocky available. But they have 7 home games. Like they gotta score some runs.
Hunter Goodman is like a prospect, a legitimate prospect.
Yeah,
I'm interested in him.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, like, some of these guys, I keep seeing him on the waiver wire every other week. And I
finally quit Brenton Doyle. I stopped.
Thank you. That's the guy I was thinking of.
I added him like 4 different times. I just couldn't do it. But Montero hits the ball hard, 43% hard hit rate. I know the average is low, but he's someone first and third eligible. I think that I think I'd play him for this home week is kind of what we guess. Yeah, there's already an Alex Kirilov wrist joke in the chat. I do get it. But 7 home games for the Rockies. I think we talked about it with Michael Toglia a few weeks ago. I'm getting this guy. We're going to have 7 home games. It didn't work. I'm probably going back there again. I'm using a lot of Hunter Goodman in leagues this week.
Yeah, I haven't seen the results of the LABR FAAB run, but I think I was in on Goodman. Why not?
Yeah, it's I think he could run into 3 home runs in a week, which would be huge. Someone asked a question in the chat, Jeff. In a Roto League playoffs, would you pitch John Means against the Cardinals Tuesday night? I guess that depends if do you have like a certain amount of minimum starts or anything like that? But I don't know. I'm probably not too fired up about that start myself.
I'm not fired up about the matchup, and I'm not fired about Means because I don't think he'll go deep into the game. Which means you don't get the win, you don't get the.
He's thrown 22 innings over 6 outings in rehab. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, you got to figure it. And the O's, I mean, they actually have the luxury of kind of like, coasting into the playoffs.
I do, yeah.
So
I guess they're only 3 up on the Rays. It still seems the Rays
have heated up against.
They've really
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, and I say probably. It's not because I don't believe in the Rays, but I mean, look at the rotation.
They've lost 3 stud starting pitchers to long-term injuries here. It's
and crazy. They're faking like a couple of spots, but then Glasnow has been awesome lately. Yeah, we need to talk about him at some point.
Talk about a guy who you don't want to face in the game 1 of the playoffs. That dude can mow everybody down if he's on.
Talk about a guy I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with next year.
He's going to go high too.
He is.
As long as he makes it through the playoffs healthy and he's going to look fine in the spring, he's going to be rocketing up there for sure.
Yeah. And I might be there. I don't know. We'll see how I handle pitching. But he's definitely, I mean, you just can't trust the health. I mean, that's the real problem. But I mean, the talent's so good.
So good. Yeah. I mean, you probably, if you can go in and hope you get 130 innings, I think that, that's something, but that's always tough to do. But if he can get there, you could do well. Someone asked about Gavin Williams 2-step for the head-to-head playoffs. I would certainly throw Gavin Williams for a 2-step in any playoffs. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
At the Giants, then home against Texas, who has not been quite as good on offense. Today they did score well, but get some guys out and they just been struggling a little bit. I would throw that for sure. Yeah, it's a funny Charlie Brown comment from Paul Sporer in the chat there. Jeff, Joey Votto picking him up. What are we doing here? You had a bomb today.
Yeah, it was awesome. Go Joey Votto.
40th birthday today, right? Go
Joey Votto from a distance. Not on my roster. I'm rooting for him, but not on my roster.
Do you think him coming back impacts CES's playing time?
Yeah. So they got him back. They got India back. I mean,
that's right.
David Bell, we secretly replaced David Bell with Gabe Kapler. Let's see if anybody notices. I mean, the Reds are full on platooning like crazy, in-game platooning. I mean, it's our friend Rob DiPietro was mentioning in his newsletter today. I mean, it's now become a point. I guess if you're in a really deep league, it's good because they're almost going to get into every game. But if you're in a shallower league, it sucks because your guy might get 2 at bats.
Yeah, I have CES in our Yahoo Friends of Family notes, and I've noticed that there's been some half games and sitting games, and I'm like, it's tough for fantasy leagues.
It's the right play. It's smart. Yeah. I get it.
Do you think India plays almost every day? I mean, I had him in our list here. He was 79% rostered in the main event. A lot of available. A lot of 12 teamers came back and homered today. Do you think he plays mostly every day?
I think he gets workload managed. I think he sits
Okay.
at least once a week. They're off on Monday too, so only 6 games this week for the Reds. When 18 teams have 7 games, I
And I
mean,
assume we think he doesn't run very much.
yeah, I think that's probably true. Although, I mean, the Reds do have the ethos of running more. So,
But his is a leg injury, right?
yeah, God, I should know that. Really?
It was a hamstring. It was a hamstring, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Hold please. I will double check on that one there.
Oh, it was a foot. It was a foot. That's right. It was a hamstring earlier in the year. Now it was a foot this time.
I can get you a toe. But
Yeah. Either way, though, it's a lower body injury. I knew that. I can't imagine he's out there stealing a lot of bags.
yeah, I can't either.
Did you do anything with any of the rookies this week? Evan Carter, Nick Lofton, Jacob Young's playing almost every day in Washington. I looked at Nick Lofton, but I think with Nick Prado back, maybe there's an issue there. Evan Carter's playing a lot. You do anything with any of these other?
I did get Evan Carter in one of our NFBC teams, one of our main event teams. We got him. I think it was a minimum bid. It was he might play more than Everson Pereira, who's on the bad side of the platoon right now.
And again, another guy that might steal you 3 or 4 bases down the stretch. I don't know how much he'll play when Garcia comes back, but it seems like Carter's playing most days right now. And we're just kind of looking a week ahead here. He hit third yesterday in the lineup, though.
Tim said get Carter, so we did.
Actually, I'm sorry. He hit third because he pinch hit yesterday, but he hit ninth, so he's going to hit down the order. But yeah, I mean, I think you're looking for stolen base. He had 22 in the minors. He had 26 in the minors last year. He had 12 home runs in the minors this year. Mm-hmm. So, I think we're looking for live bodies right here. I didn't really do too much there. The guy that I really was interested in is Luis Campusano in San Diego. Gary Sanchez, who had a really kind of a bounce back year for the Padres, fractured his hand or wrist, is out for the season. Campusano is someone that it's hard to find guys who are going to help your batting average down the stretch, and he seems like one of those guys. He's hitting 311 right now. Mm-hmm. Hit 298 in the minors last year, 295 in the minors in 2021. So it's not like a fluky, weird BABIP thing this year. He's actually a guy who doesn't do a lot else, but your batting average from a catcher, if you need 0.02 get you 2 points of batting average, like Campusano might be a difference maker.
Yeah, Todd Zola's made the point it's a fallacy that you can't gain in batting average in September. You can.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's tougher because, 1 out makes such a difference. 1 extra hit makes such a difference in a couple weeks sample, but still, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bad catchers being rostered right now.
Yes, there are. It's been interesting. There's been some gem catcher pickups, but yeah, it's always that second catcher spot is always tough.
Yeah, it is.
Let's talk about pitchers. A bunch of people asking about pitching in the chat here, but first a note from our sponsor, the Home Run Index. We know the weather can impact how far a ball can fly, but we never know what all the heat and humidity or cold air is really doing to the ball. The Home Run Forecast Index gives us an easy way to determine how good or bad the air is for ball flight. The index is calculated by measuring stadium-specific weather conditions and is displayed on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the most unfavorable for good ball flight and 10 indicating the most favorable air. There's a strong correlation between the index and the highest number of runs scored per game and the number of home runs hit. Games that have the highest index of 10 for the whole game average over 10 runs and 2.8 homers over the course of the year. An index is created for each game so you can see what it will be in each stadium and how the weather's influence might change over the course of the game, as well as the wind direction. Right now, you can get access to the HRF premium site for only $5 a month and see what the index will look like for every hour of every Major League Baseball game. Go to homerunforecast.com now to sign up. So, Jeff, I promised we talk about starting pitchers, but I'm not sure I have many great answers. That is a tough spot right now. The best thing I would say is be careful. Like, as someone who lost a lot last year by just trying to find some 2 steps and trying to get lucky, it didn't work. It is tough. Make sure you know what you need your category wise before you pick guys up. But a couple of guys that are like 60% ish rostered in the main event, I think are mildly interesting. Kyle Wright is likely getting called up tomorrow. We don't know for sure, so it's a little risky, but it sounds like he's going to pitch in one of the doubleheader games tomorrow. And then if he pitches, he might pitch again on Sunday. Charlie Morton's pitching tomorrow, so could go again on Saturday. Spencer Strider got pushed back. He's a little under the weather. He's going to pitch Wednesday instead of Monday. So that gives an open spot here for Wright. He was 68% rostered in the main event. Do you trust a Kyle Wright call up right now with a potential 2-step this week?
I don't, because he's not going to go deep.
Yeah.
But the fact that I didn't roster him means he's going to pitch well. So I don't know. There's a trade-off there. He's a proud member of the worst live main event draft team ever drafted roster. So
are you still in the 700 club?
Oh God, I'm firmly ensconced in the 700 club. I'm charter member now. Yeah,
it was looking back, that was a draft that just everything possibly went wrong.
I felt good about it. That's the funny thing too. Really felt like we did well, and no, did not.
There are just some teams that just don't work out. I think your point on Wright is the key about the depth. He threw 50 pitches only his last outing.
Yeah.
I just I don't know. I mean, if you get 2 starts out of him, you're not getting any wins, even on the Braves. Unless he magically is super efficient through 5, but limits the chance at wins, limits the strikeouts. You still can get ratio damage even in a short outing. I had him in a waterfall, as you would call it, but way down. It would have had to something crazy would happen.
I get no credit for that term. That's a James Anderson term, by the way. I'm just going to make that point.
You use it so well, though.
I do use it. I don't know about so well. I do use it.
You have such a good pronunciation of it.
Oh, thank you.
But Tyler McGill with the Mets. So we talked about him a little bit. I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago. Pitched well again today. He did not get the win, but he pitched, 5 scoreless innings. Did have 4 walks, only 2 strikeouts, but 5 scoreless innings, only 2 hits. He's been a little bit better recently. You look at his last 5 starts, 3 runs or fewer, 62% roster in the main event. I think he's someone that you can throw out there and not have him kill you, which is a really positive statement for anybody this season right now. He's home against the Reds. Obviously better than in the small park. So I think it's a throwable start this week and a guy that's available in 2/3 of main events.
Yeah, I have trust issues, but yeah, I mean, home start. It's a home start.
Yes.
It's one start, unfortunately. It's a home start. And that's the tough part is, finding that, just finding anybody. I'm actually in a main event league where Ryan Pepio was available. So I did pick him up.
Wow. How much did you get? That's crazy. Nobody
3-2. We won him because it's September and September is weird.
Still though, every time he's pitched, he's been awesome. He was really good against Miami.
And I think the work they did with him, to change his delivery, to improve his command, really seems like it worked.
It was perfect through 6 2/3 in that game against Miami, and then give the hit to Josh Bell. But I only had 3 strikeouts, but man, in a 15-teamer, that would have been my top of my board ad easily.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, we got lucky there, but it's so hard to find anybody you want. I don't really want McGill because I don't know. I've been hurt before, Scott.
McGill's my 3rd best starter right now, Jeff. So
I know. I mean, we all have leagues like that. Tukey's available in some leagues. I actually have, and he's got Casey in Minnesota, so one good, one not so good. But even Minnesota, you can get good starts against them sometimes. So
I think Tukey is if you need some strikeouts, that works. But man, those walks scare the crap out of me.
So
many guys,
perfectly volatile, and Tukey is the perfect he could suck so bad in his first start, which is the better start, that you don't want him to make the second start type of guy.
Yeah, I know that. I know that feeling very well. I've had some guys like that, but he's been good lately. He has 2, 3, and 0 earned runs his last 3 starts, but also has 8 walks in those starts. So it's he's a strikeout play. 2 starts. I think you get some Ks there, like you mentioned. One was against the Royals. What about some Ryan Nelson in Arizona? Pitched well this week. He has 2 starts at the Mets, home against Chicago. I do have a league where I need wins and strikeouts, and my ratios are good, so I'm looking for anybody like this. But I still got outbid on him, of course, because that's that Vegas main event league I was in.
It's insane.
It is the most active league. I cannot get anybody in that league. In my other leagues, I'm fine getting somebody. I cannot get anybody in that league. I was looking at Ryan Nelson. I'm like, he pitched really well his last start. He's got 2 starts this week. Then I scrolled back, and he had 6 runs allowed. His 2 starts before that. So maybe I just bumped his bid down. Maybe I didn't deserve to get him.
Yeah, I've got our main, our Vegas main had I think 40 guys picked up this week.
I mean, you know what? We joke about that. It's really awesome when you think about it. The fact that
it's amazing.
40. I'm looking at mine right now. It must be around 40. I'd probably maybe 35. It's as I scroll, it's kind of in the same range. It's pretty amazing that we talk about week 1 in the NFL. Everybody's kind of not focused, but man, these leagues are really fun and active. And I wouldn't want another way. It's frustrating at times where I'm like, oh my gosh, can I just get somebody I want? But you give me a league that's that competitive and that active. It's a lot of fun.
And I'll say this, I am emphatically out of contention in that league, but I feel compelled to finish the drill. I had Doc Roto on the Thursday podcast, and we were talking about that concept. And my point is, if I've been MIA for 2 months and then jumped in and won Jordan Lawler, like I did win Jordan Lawler, I understand people would complain, but we've been active every week. We're grinding even though we suck.
Yep.
And I think in a way, by not participating, I'm affecting the league. If we have the FAAB dollars and don't spend them, then someone else is getting a windfall, and so affecting the race that way. So, and I paid my monies. I'm gonna play it out, right?
I fully agree. The only time I do have a problem is the kind of the thing you mentioned before, like when someone doesn't play for 3 months and then all of a sudden comes in and grabs all the interesting players. That kind of bugs me a little bit. Although, again, they paid their money, they can kind of run the team how they want. But if you're active all year, I have zero issue if you're in 10th place picking up players a lot 3 weeks.
Or
I really
15th, as the case may be. Yes,
I was trying to buffer that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's 700 club. Just gonna embrace it, dude. My team embrace.
Well, I mean, standings are public. It's not like we're hiding anything. But yeah, it's. I have no issue with that. I know some people do. Some people get upset about that. But as long as you play all year, man, if you outbid me with 3 weeks left, it might be annoying. Annoyed that I didn't get the player, but I wouldn't be annoyed at the person for doing so.
Thank you.
Unless they were like, unless I had $9 and they bid 10 just to screw me over, then that's a problem. But I really don't worry about it. It's just one of those things that it's fun. Active leagues are really good.
Yeah, they are. They are indeed.
Yeah. Paul Sporer mentioned the chat. Maybe someone doesn't bid for 2 weeks. Something's going on. I do get that. I'm more talking like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. When they have $1,000 in July.
Yeah, exactly.
Or their FAAB budget.
Yeah, or literally don't make a move May 15th and then on September 3rd pick up 4 guys for $150 each. That's just annoying. But yeah, no, a couple of weeks. There's a lot. Some people. People have all kinds of stuff going on. You might miss a week, that sort of thing. But I do get that. Jeff, last guy I want to ask you about starting pitching. How do you feel about your friend on the Reds, Ben Lively, coming off the COVID IL and pitching twice this week?
Shrug emoji.
Doesn't help me.
No, it doesn't. It's no, it doesn't. I mean, but that's the thing. I don't think he'll help you. I think
that's fair. No, that's a fair answer.
He might, but there's always that possibility. I'm pretty down on the Reds right now too. Not down on them because it's been a great year, but down on them because they had a chance to be a lot better. And
these last like 6 weeks have been or 4 weeks maybe have been just kind of like a blah for them. It's just like
the direct line from the trade deadline.
Yep, maybe you're right.
Point from the trade deadline. Yeah. If you look at it there, they had a horrible August. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals. I'm like, even when the Cardinals suck, they still take 2 out of 3 from us. Come on.
Hunter Green was awesome today, though.
He was, and Votto hit a bomb and great. And young guys, who knew they're gonna hit rough patches.
Yeah,
it's crazy, but it's the case. I think
when you're 3 pitchers short, it's tough to stay hot that long. You just are gonna run into some stuff, and
Lodolo didn't come back at all. They actually
that was like their trade deadline move was to add Lodolo, and it just never came.
They were like, when Green and Lodolo come back, we're gonna be so much. Yeah, okay, great. That's it.
I'm not sure Giolito would have helped seeing how he's pitching in Cleveland though.
I actually kind of feel bad for him because he's getting like jerked around all over the place, but. Yeah.
It's been rough. He actually pitched a little bit better this. He hit 4 runs early to the Angels and then pitched really well after that. But they had that other start where he gave up 10 and they just left him out there. It was rough.
Yeah, I just saw the highlight of the 10th inning catch against the wall against the other fielder.
But that's
crap.
But that was with a no hitter still in play,
right? And a 0-0 game in the bottom of the 10th. And if he doesn't catch that, it's game over.
Game's over. Yeah, and that was still a no hitter. It was It was pretty well. Yeah, the Yankees didn't get a hit for 10 innings and won a game today. That's I can't imagine that's happened too many times.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like crazy. That Harvey Haddock's like 10 inning perfect game they lost at some point, right? I think there's something in there like that. But that was a heck of a catch.
It was like giving up, total definition of giving up the body for that one there.
Yeah, that was a great play. Relievers, we had a little bit of a movement in the reliever market this week. We've got Tyler Kinley in Colorado had a couple of saves. Brian Shaw pitched and he had a save. And then Gregory Santos pitched in front of Shaw again. I think it was today. So maybe some movement there. We got some movement in Baltimore. Yennier Cano got smoked again yesterday. It's not been great. We got a little Fujinama action, a little DL Hall maybe there. Did you do anything with if you're trying to sneak 2 or 3 saves? And do you like any of these guys for that purpose?
Yeah, I got Shaw in AL Tout Wars. And who knows? I mean, it's the White Sox. They'll probably, have like 2 saves the rest of the year. But
he might get absolutely destroyed in one. But his last like 5 outings have been good, and I think he gets the next op, which is kind of all I'm looking for with 3 weeks left.
Yeah, I have Lawrence in Friends and Family, so it's a safe cut. It probably was a safe cut.
I finally dropped him this week.
12.96 ERA in his last 30 days. I was probably he's an overdue cut is what he really is, but
he was an overdue cut for me. I was just desperate in saves and kind of holding on, but every time he pitched, he gave 4 runs, and I was like, I can't do this anymore.
I've so faked saves in that league, by the way. It's amazing. Like I picked up Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott is the greatest American hero. I love Tanner Scott.
The biggest mistake I've made this year is just not executing well. I've talked about Tanner Scott for like 3 weeks in a row on here. I didn't pick him up. He's had like 7 saves in the last 2 weeks. It's maddening. But I just like, we talked about guys in the preseason too that I loved and just didn't get them. I blew executing a lot of stuff. Like Justin Steele was bolded on my draft sheet in all my leagues. And I didn't take him in any 3-man minutes. It makes no sense how I didn't get a guy that late when I liked him so much. And it's just maddening to me. But
it is. Helsley got a save the other day. I picked up Alex Lang when someone dropped him.
And he kind of like got back into the role. He's kind of the guy again.
He is. He got a save today. I mean, it's like I'm just staying alive there in saves with just these BS closers. It's great. I love it.
Someone's asked the chat if Fuji is good. I mean, Fuji's been good.
He's been really good with the Orioles.
Yeah, his ERA is 4.1, but the WHIP's 1.01, 10.6 strikeouts per 9. Since that first just disastrous first 6 weeks of the A's, he's actually been, as a bullpen guy, he's got good stuff. He throws hard. He's been fairly effective, and Cano has not been. I think you might get some Fuji and DL Hall saved on the stretcher as they try to figure out kind of what they're doing for the playoffs.
I gotta say, you always got to get a little credit for how they're developing relievers. You know, Cano was one of 4 that came over in the Jorge Lopez deal. They turned Jorge Lopez into something for a year, and we were able to flip him. Bautista has obviously been awesome. They've made Fuji better. At some point in time, you got to give them credit for that. Or you could criticize the A's for how they handled Fuji. I don't know, but
I would never criticize the A's, Jeff. That's crazy talk.
Never. Your former A's.
Yeah, exactly. They walk on water in my eyes, Jeff.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, I do feel bad for the baseball people there. I really do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But is it any surprise that Fuji's better with a different organization? No,
it is not. Zero surprise.
Yeah.
Hey, they also cut Max Muncy for free too. So what are you doing?
Yeah. Mistakes were made.
They do make a lot of those. But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, if you needed saves, is one of those few weeks. There hasn't been a lot of them lately, but this is one of the few weeks you might be able to slide in some saves here. I had Shaw at the top just because we talk about Rocky's home week and Tyler Kinley. That means he's pitching at home all week, which
right.
I don't
really
love.
None.
Yeah. His ERA is 6.7. His WHIP's 1.6. So it's I saw that. I was like, oh gosh, what are we doing here? But last 3 outings have been scoreless. He got 2 saves in 3 outings. If you're desperate, I think it works. I mean, the Rockies win more games at home, so there is that. I think they're like 44% win percentage at home, and like 28 or something on the road. So, I mean, there's that. They got a chance for more wins at home, but
right.
Yeah. Jeff, it's a good question. Someone asked chat asking if you use the Carlos Rodon 2-step this week.
I don't have him in a single league this year, so I've not been put to that particular test.
At Boston, at Pittsburgh.
I'm not even aware of what he's done lately.
He got absolutely trashed his last start.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but
the 3 before that were pretty good.
Lefty in Boston, nah. But then it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm throwing it.
I guess you have to because what are you going to have? I mean, it got destroyed by Detroit.
Smoked. He looked terrible in that start too. I actually watched some of that game, and he did not. He earned every bit of that getting smoked.
Yeah. I mean, part of it's torque, and torque is 27, 76, 78 now.
Torque is my dude. I love torque.
I love torque too.
Yeah, I'm hoping he gets to. I mean, it's the 30 because he was one of my super late guys I really liked. I hope he gets a 30 because that makes that look a little more round and better. But I'm starting Rodon. I just I think whatever you're gonna start instead it's not gonna be great either. And give me the 2 starts. I hope
Tukey or Rodon, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
Rodon.
Yeah, is that a Ryan Nelson? I'm just gonna start Rodon and hope that he gets 13 strikeouts in the 2 starts and doesn't get killed. Exactly. I think you got to do it. It's the shallowest of leagues, but
yeah.
Jeff, I want to talk to you about a couple players before we jump out of here. What do we do with Corey Seager next year? How high is this guy going to go? Because he is freaking awesome. I love Corey Seager. I love watching him hit. I love the home runs where goes down to a knee and just hits bombs. He has 30 home runs. He's hitting 336 in 99 games. He missed a big chunk of the season when he was hurt. I don't know, 17.5% barrel rate, 55% hard hit rate. Dude is just awesome. The problem is you don't get any stolen bases from a shortstop, which is really tough. But man, this dude is, I love Seager. I think we're talking like middle of the second round would maybe get pushed up a little higher next year. Maybe a 18 to 20 kind of pick in there, something like that.
So what's going to happen is you're going to do a draft in December and January where you get him in the third round because he doesn't run.
Right.
And then he's going to get the Freddie Freeman treatment as we realize he's safe and safe in terms of performance, maybe not in health, but
yeah. And I think we know now the 245 last year was the flukiest of outliers of flukes. Like it was just insane. Yeah,
exactly. And the best part is every single person said that Seager was going to benefit from the shift limitations, and every single person was right. And yet we still got him in the 4th and 5th round this year. But yeah, we're absolutely going to have to pay more for him, and I think I'll probably do it. You have to realize you just have to kind of plan accordingly. The thing is, if you're going Corey Seager in the second, you're probably not taking a pitcher in the first round because then you're
no
waiting
steals after 2 rounds.
Yeah. Or maybe you will, and maybe you go one ace, you go Seager, and then you got to get stolen bases with your hitters in rounds 3, 4, and 5. But you're giving something else up. You're giving up saves, or you're giving up one ace starting pitcher. Honestly, I think I'm going to probably not draft in my 15 teamers. I'm probably not going to draft a closer in the first 4 rounds. Maybe not even the 5th. We'll see. I mean, I feel like I've had better teams when I haven't spent the draft capital on the early closers.
The early closers have been good this year, though, too.
They have been.
Like the top 15 closers, I think like 13 of them have been really
But the correlation to winning and early closers isn't there.
Yeah.
And even like getting the found money, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
The Alexis Diaz, Camilo Duvall. I mean, Fred and I were talking about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the research was shown that it doesn't correlate to like the top teams in the online championship. Remember the year that Diaz had like 60 saves in Seattle?
Yep.
One team out of the top 20 had him. It wasn't like that was like a cheat code.
I was really hoping to refute you, but the top team in the main event has Sewald and Duvall as 2 closers.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's like
so he actually has Duvall. I mean, that's actually.
But even that was not a top 4 round guy. That was like a 7th round guy.
Right, but it's held a lot of different times. That yes, it sucks when you don't get the closers. Then you're chasing and you're wasting the FAAB, and you overspend on the FAAB. I think that's one of the things a lesson we have to learn and relearn all over again is don't spend the big bucks on the FAAB guys and closers, but just you do keep speculating. But I mean, it's easier said than done. But Tanner Scott was pretty cheap, right? And he's going to be a big mover for people in leagues. You're going to get 10 saves down the stretch out of him.
It's always hard to find that guy. But yeah, I mean, if you found Kyle Finnegan, I mean, if you find the right guy, it works. I just I don't know. I think I'm good paying for 1, but definitely not. I'm definitely like waiting on the second.
Definitely not paying for 2, and I'm definitely not paying a top 3 pick.
It might be a 5, 6, 7 round guy rather than a 3, 4 guy.
Right. I think you have to find that one guy that you're comfortable with later on. I don't know. Yeah. So give me Seager over an early closer every time. I'm willing to pay the opportunity cost of an early closer by getting Seager.
All right. Seager over Trevor May. I got it. We're good.
Yes, exactly.
I think Trevor May has 19 saves now. I don't know how he got there, but I think he actually has 19 saves, which is kind of wild. He somehow held on to that job. He had 19 saves. His whip's only 1.5 though. That's pretty solid. Where do you think Tristan Casas goes next year? Is someone that like a huge prospect and was kind of just boring in the first half, had 9 home runs in the All-Star break in 77 games, is now hit his 24th home run on Sunday. All the like patience, hard contact stuff has all come around the second half. He's been really, really good. I think he's going to be a popular guy in drafts. I think people are going to like him. I think he's going to be a mover too. Yeah,
I think so. Sorry I got distracted. I didn't know what happened with Cole Reagans today.
You just saw the Rick Ankiel 3 pitches in a row?
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I've talked about a guy that has been like burning up our podcast lately too, to see that happen when he had a 2-0 lead and late in the game too.
He did. He had 6 walks today. Only gave 2 runs though. Still was fine, but had 6 walks. He only gave 1 hit, and he was unhittable, but he couldn't find the plate.
I mean, I hope that's not like a thing. Maybe it's
what's weird. You just pulled up that highlight. You know what's weird about that stadium is like every stadium I look up, I can tell you what stadium it is by like the wall or whatever it is right away. I still can't figure out Toronto's wall because they changed it all. It's every time I look up, like, is that a minor league game? I just can't. The Toronto just does not fit my eye at all. It's very weird.
It's funny how that works. Yeah.
Because every other stadium I look up in 1 second, I can tell you exactly where they're playing and all that. But
yeah,
the Toronto wall still kind of gets me a little bit.
That's so funny. But Tristan Casas, you asked about that. I'm in on him for sure. 100% in on him. He's always had a good batting eye, and now he's adding the power more, and he's getting more confident in himself. I feel like this is a guy that could hit 35-40 next year.
Oh, nice. He certainly showed that in the second half. He's been, he's been huge. Hard hit rates 47%, barrel rates 13.5%. It's all there. He might be a little too patient to hit that many home runs, but
that's true. I mean, that's I'm saying he could. I won't project him for that, but point is, I like him a lot, and I'm going to have him. I'm going to have him, and he's not going to be. He's going to cost what someone on the order of like what Crone cost for us this last year, or who am I thinking of? Arizona. Christian Walker. He's going to be in that range. And I think you'll get a profit from that.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair range, like an 8th, 9th round and a 15 team or something in the 8th to 10th round, somewhere in there. I think that's probably about right. I really like the profile. I like the swing. I like watching him hit. It just hits everything hard. I like watching him.
And he just took a while to adjust to major league pitching. I think that's all that was. So yeah, I'm in on him for sure.
You know that Pete Alonso has a 206 BABIP this year?
I only do so because you pointed it out in our outline.
Is that crazy? 206.
Yeah. Well, home runs don't count towards BABIP.
True. But his BABIP last year was 280.
Yeah. But so much of his output is home runs or nothing, right? Yeah. I mean, this year especially. Here's the thing about him. He got hurt. I don't think he ever was 100% healthy after that. Came back very quickly. He might even be compromised right now for all we know. You know, how many?
He's still at 43, 103.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is wild.
So I'm probably, second round for him next year. Are you in?
I think he's going to be there again. I think it's just cop up. Some of it depends who you took first, but yeah, I think I kind of am in. I think that, the batting average is going to pop back up. The 206 BABIP is absurd. Like, that's never going to happen again. And he's not a big strikeout guy. Like, I always think of him as a big strikeout. He's not. He's at 22% right now, and that's up a little bit from last year. But at 40 home runs, like, you give me a 22% strikeout guy. That's like guys that hit just like middling rate right now. So, I think that pops up. I think he hits 260, 265, and 50 home runs is. He might do that this year, but that's always a possibility. I think so. I think that this is as safe and solid a power profile as there's in baseball.
And it's a classic. Okay, he's not going to run, so we have to account for that when we draft him in the second round. I mean, there is that.
Yep. If you're deciding between him and Matt Olson, what are you doing? It's really
Olson,
hard
because the team context.
Olson's at 48, 121 right now.
Remember when he couldn't hit with runners in scoring position for like 6 days? That was fun.
48, 121. Like, the 48 just snuck up too. Like, I know he's been awesome, but he's going to have like 52, 53 home runs. His barrel rate's 17.7%. Hard hit rate's 58%, right? 57.5% right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and he didn't pop back to that crazy 30% strikeout rate. He's always going to rise from the 2021, but he's 24%. He's walking 4% more. The dude is just a legit awesome, great player. There's no more critiquing little things here and there. I know he had that horrible 2020 half season or third of a season. Dude just matches. He's awesome.
I love him in the fourth round this year too.
Yeah. And not again.
Nope.
He's probably a 1-2 turn next year, maybe a little bit.
How many Braves are going to go in the first 4 rounds?
A lot. The Braves have so many. What do they have, 7 guys with 20 home runs? It's something like that.
So Acuna, Strider, Albies, Riley, Olson, for sure. Who am I forgetting? Maybe it's only 5. Maybe there's
Michael Harris.
How early does he go?
Top 4 rounds.
You think so?
He was second round this year and been really good.
Free too, as Paul mentioned.
Free to probably be 4th round, but I think Harris for sure.
Iglesias would make 8. Wow,
that's a crazy number.
That's
You're right.
Nuts.
Yeah, I think Harris does go there. I just think that he's been really good in the second half. I know that. I think we tried to throw it that first month, and Sean Murphy's not far. He's not winning the top 4 rounds, but he's not going to be far out of there. He'll be 6th or 7th round.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when people were talking about dropping Sean Murphy in one catcher leagues. That was fun.
That was a good time because he
Yeah, for
didn't
about
play
a
like
week.
3 of the first 6 games or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a crazy. They are crazy. That's like almost their whole lineup in the first 4 rounds. That is wild.
And they're going to be around for a long time too. They're
all those guys are
signed.
young and they're all signed for like 10 years. It's crazy. They've done an awesome job. Speaking of guys that are going to go higher than they did this year. What do you think Logan Webb ends up in drafts next year? He was like a 9th, 10th round this year. He's had a really nice year, really nice, and that's back-to-back good years. He's a 3.40 ERA. He's lowered the whip down to 1.08. He's lowered his walk rate under 4%. That's been the key here. Strikeout rate goes up, walk rate goes down. It's a really good trend. Ton of ground balls. He just feels like a guy that is just really, really solid, but without the huge K upside. I don't know how high he goes, but where do you think he ends up landing?
Because of the lack of K upside, I think he's similar to where he went last year. Or I mean, this year. I keep saying last year.
I think he jumps up. I think he jumps up significantly from this year.
I think he's in the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah, that's fair then, because he was probably 8th, 9th this year. I think 4th, 5th, 6th. I think he might even rise up. He just feels like one of those guys is just super solid. I mean, 192 innings last year. He's 193 this year. He's got 3 or 4 starts left, so he's gonna get to 210, something like that. I don't know, he kind of feels like just like a workhorse kind of guy to me. And I know you're not getting huge strikeouts, but when you throw 190 innings, you're going to end up with 185, 190 strikeouts, and that works pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm looking at him a little bit closer. I mean, the swing and miss is actually down, but the K percentage is up. That's a neat trick. That's hard to do.
Swing strike is under 9%. You're probably going to hear that number a lot this offseason when people are breaking him down.
Yeah, home run rate actually went up, which is interesting. Home run to fly ball went way up.
Yeah, when you have 61% ground balls, like that's just not that many fly balls, I guess.
And he's consistently like a high ground ball pitcher too. It's not like it's a fluke. I mean, he had 51% ground ball rate in 2021 too.
The way his ball moves, I don't know how anybody ever hits it in the air. It's crazy.
Yeah. Plus, he was great in Friday Night Lights and also in Breaking Bad. But
did you ever watch Game Night, the movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love that. He's in that too. He's
underrated movie, by the way.
Oh, great! I really like that movie.
Freaking love that movie.
Yeah. We watched it one night. I'm like, oh, what's this? That's Jason Bateman. I really like Jason Bateman. I was like, oh, this movie's really funny.
First time I saw it was on the plane, and I actually was like literally laughing out loud. I'm like, I'm a little self-conscious about this, but at the same time, like, it was so good.
Yeah, I'm usually in for anything Kyle Chandler, so I was good with that. But the whole movie was pretty good. Pablo Lopez has 213 strikeouts. Jeff, 14 strikeouts today against the Mets. 2 hits, 8 innings. I feel like he's quietly been really, really good. 213 strikeouts, impressive.
That trade was the most classic help win-win trade for that I've you can see. I mean, both guys, Arias and Lopez, have done exactly what their acquiring teams wanted.
I feel like I haven't heard about Arias getting a hit in the second half.
Yeah, and he's still like, what's he still like at 360, I think, or something?
349.
349. So it's slowing down a little bit, but still 349.
Yeah, I say he hasn't hit the second half. He's hitting 294 in the second half.
Oh, it's terrible. What a waste. He doesn't run though, and that's the thing. Like, he doesn't run and he doesn't hit for power. So fantasy wise, he's
tough. He's so good, but he's tough. I mean, he hits 350. Yeah, it works. But if he hits 310, it really doesn't work very well.
No.
Hey, I gotta say, a good friend, Anthony Gialdi, said hi. I was drafting 2 spots over him for this weekend in the NFL. He's a good human. I had a lot of fun talking to him. Anthony's a really good dude.
Fun guy to be around.
It was really fun to see him. It was really good. It was a fun draft. I have to apologize. He took Kadarius Toney in like the round, and I made a snide comment, and I felt bad.
Oh, well,
it was after the cheat game when he had the horrendous.
Well, yeah. So you got him for cheap. Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to use them this week. You got a free look.
Free look. I did notice that. How do you not pick someone who looks so good on Thursday night? But that's all right. Last guy I want to talk about, James Outman in LA, another guy who's kind of been had a quiet, really good fantasy year. 19 home runs, 15 stolen bases. It doesn't sound huge, but where you got him in drafts, that has been a huge score. He was dropped in some leagues too, hitting 253. Strikes out too much. That's the problem here. Is 32%, but walks a bunch. So it helps the strike. It helps the stolen bases right there. But over 40% hard hit rate, over 10% barrel. He's become kind of one of their key guys in this team. Like he went from like he's going to play against righties and maybe some lefties, or maybe not all righties, but some. Now he's kind of playing against everybody. He's been very solid.
Yeah, he has, and that's he was a good prospect, but he was never like elite prospect. No one's really like, oh, you got to make him rookie of the year, but he's been really solid. And the Dodgers really needed that too.
They did. There was a time where they were like, they just needed somebody to be out there every single day, and he's been that guy. And we talked about the Dodgers a couple weeks ago, how good they are. Man, they're starting pitching. I don't know what's going to look like. Bueller's not going to pitch now. He's not going to pitch this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, Urias is gone, and Kershaw velocity's down. They pushed it back.
He's pitching through shoulder stuff. Yeah.
Like, I don't know who's like, the Dodgers are awesome. You look at their lineup, you look at everything they do, their record. I don't know who starts for them in playoff games.
Pitched through a torn UCL for a while, and now he's done. I mean,
but do they go Kershaw, Bobby Miller, Lance Lynn, Pepe? Like, I don't even know what they do.
I don't either.
They're
Yarbrough, who knows? I mean,
I think it's underrated how much they're hurting the starting pitching.
Well, Lance Lynn, maybe, but I mean, he got killed by good teams. I mean,
that's the problem. Is he's be fine against Oakland and Colorado. I think he's going to get killed by good teams.
It is really weird to see such a good team have like such a total flaw at this point in time.
I was kind of curious if Bueller was going to be like a 2-inning, gas in the bullpen kind of guy, and obviously not. It's not working. And I think it's probably smart if he's not fully ready. You don't want to stick him in a situation where he's going to hurt himself. But
right.
And if Kershaw's not healthy, I don't know who the heck pitches their playoff games.
Well, and the thing is, the way they behaved this year, though, I mean, they kind of are like, yeah, we don't care. It's fine. We'll just get through it, and next year is going to be better. Except now, Ohtani's not going to pitch for them, even if they get him.
No, he's not. But I tried to trade for Eduardo Rodriguez. That didn't work. But they could have added somebody. They're a fascinating playoff team because like every matchup you're gonna be like, they're pitching that guy tonight, but then they'll still win because
because their lineup is still awesome though.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And their bullpen's better than people realize. It was terrible for a while, but it's been pretty good lately.
Yeah, Gratterall Phillips, the back end is really, really good. It's just a matter of, if you have to pitch a 6-inning, but Ryan Yarbrough just throws 3 innings and it's good every time.
Yeah. And hey, I see like Benson commenting about, them versus the Braves. Yes, the Braves took 3 out of 4 from them. Those games were close though, for the most part.
And the Dodgers fought back in those games. The Dodgers fought back in those games. They scored 4 against Strider. They were down like 6-0 in the game, lost 8-7. I don't know. I can't count these guys out, but man, on paper, the pitching is just, it's tough right now.
Well, and okay, Strider, you trust, although he's kind of slowed down a little bit in the second half, a little bit, and he's sick right now, but that's whatever. But
still fully trust.
Max Fried, when healthy, I fully trust, but I don't trust the health. Charlie Morton is really good, but has had some stinkers. Elder, I don't trust. No. I know he's been fairly good this year, and maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. Point is, the Braves pitching is not like, locked in. It's amazing. Their lineup's stupid, but the pitching, there could be some shootout games here.
There could be some shootout games. I think that's fair. I mean, I just think Strider, Fried, Morton is still pretty darn good.
It's better than what the Dodgers are rolling out, or most everybody. And that's the thing. Nobody has deep pitching. Nobody. Everybody's like hurting for innings. I think this year, one thing about the combination of the World Baseball Classic and the new rules, I think it's just really stripped away people's depth in pitching.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of good teams where you're like, oh my gosh, I guess the Brewers can throw Burns and Woodruff out there. The Phillies can throw
Peralta.
Nola.
Peralta's awesome too.
Yeah, Phillies can throw Nola and Wheeler out there back to back.
But Nola, Philly fans hate Nola.
You never know what you get from Nola every start. It's all over the place.
The Viritol spread at Nola when he has a bad game on Twitter by Philly baseball Twitter, it's amazing to me. They hate him.
I mean, his ERA is 4.6, so I guess it's not good. It's funny because when Trey Turner was bad, they all got behind him, and now he's good again. So I don't know who they picked to be behind, but yeah. I feel that with Twitter with Nola too. It's like everybody's waiting for him to give up a home run, then everybody just freaks out.
Well, and he's a free agent to be too, so they're going to hate him even more soon.
Timothy Tunks makes a really good point. Seattle has the pitching. If they get in the playoffs, they are the team that they could be a tough matchup for anybody in a short series.
Yeah.
So. Cool. Anybody else you want to talk about, Jeff? I feel like you kind of hit all the injury stuff as we were kind of going through here. James Paxton, Luis Severino, and Luis Rengifo were all out for the season. So obviously, you have those guys, they're easy drops. But that was kind of and Jason Dominguez, we talked about that earlier. That was kind of the only news and notes I had. But anything else on your mind before we jump out of here?
Rengifo's a little bummer. I mean, he's had his moments.
He's playing really well the last 6 to 8 weeks. He's been very helpful.
Yeah, and now the Angels, of course, are being strip mined and all that.
I'm shocked the Angels got somebody hurt. It seems surprising.
Yeah, I mean the Angels, it's so depressing. I mean, they actually tried to do the right thing, and then they did the wrong thing, of course, to get under the luxury tax. But
is Mike Trout on the Angels opening day next year?
No,
I don't think so either.
No, I think
he wants to be gone. That's a hard contract to trade. They're gonna have to eat some money to do it.
Yeah, they will. They will. But I think they are a sneaky candidate to be the next A's. Just be total strip mined.
That's a tough comp right there.
Well, it's minus the whole like cynical moving of the whole entire franchise. But I think they're just going to be torn apart because what do they have going for them in the future?
Trout has 7 years left at 35+ million each of those years.
They're going to lose Ohtani. I mean,
yeah. They have to eat some of that contract trade. Nobody's taking that contract straight up.
No,
right?
of course not. Yeah. Of course not. But
that's crazy. You say, of course not. This is like one of the best baseball players in history, and like nobody's taking that contract on right
now. No, not at full price given his injury history.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and especially if he came out for one game and he's back out, it's just, it's gonna be an interesting offseason in Anaheim for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thanks everyone for listening. We do appreciate that. Appreciate all the comments in the chat. It was always fun to see that. If you want to follow Jeff on Twitter, he's at Jeff_Erickson. I am at Scott Jenstad. I promise not too many 49ers gifts this week, although I promise there will be some. Because when you roll into Pittsburgh and just kick their butt, it's a lot of fun. So it was a fun Sunday morning out here in Niner land. But I hope everybody has a really good week. Obviously, 3 weeks left in the season. We hope everybody makes a move with their standings. Hopefully, this is a fun and competitive last 3 weeks here. Look forward to talking more baseball with you next Sunday night. Hope everybody has a good one, and take care.